in Miami, Florida, at the site of the Democratic debate tonight. We have Jordan Chariton with us, who's a reporter, and Symone Sanders, press secretary for Bernie Sanders' campaign. So, Symone,
Hello.
hey, great to be have you on with us at the Young Turks.
Yes, glad to be here. I remember meeting you, so it's always good to chat with the Young Turks.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so let me start with a softball. Let's just call it what it is. Um, how excited were you guys when you won Michigan? And then, but a follow up that's not as soft, which is, come on, did you really think you were going to win? So,
Look, we are playing to win in this game, but we knew that Michigan was a higher hurdle. But we are very proud of the ground game we ran in Michigan. We had a really great team, and we were concentrated on meeting people where they are and really talking to the voters and bringing out the issue of trade, the issue of economic inequality, issues where Senator Sanders is extremely strong, and frankly, issues where Secretary Clinton is not as strong because a lot of these disastrous trade deals, these disastrous trade policies are policies that she has supported throughout the years. So we thought that we could do extremely well in Michigan. We are very happy that we pulled out a win, and we're looking forward to moving on to Illinois, Ohio, and onward because this is going to be a long nominating contest.
so Symone, you just mentioned trade. Do you think that was the difference maker in Michigan? That he had the more progressive policies on trade. Is that what you guys deduced as having worked?
I think that was a part of it. I mean, communities like Detroit, communities like Flint, places all throughout Michigan and following states such as Ohio and Illinois, for that matter, they they really feel the effects that these disastrous trade policies have had on their communities. There were once very good paying manufacturing jobs in places like Detroit. And due to NAFTA, permanent normal trade relations with China, and now the impending Trans-Pacific Partnership, these jobs no longer exist. Folks have outsourced, and now there's nothing to replace those. So these trade policies have really been ladders of poverty for people that live in Detroit, for people that live in Flint, all over Michigan. And I definitely think that makes a difference when Senator Sanders has consistently stood up against these trade deals and fought and stood on the side of the American worker. I thought the thing that also didn't work from the Clinton campaign side was these false attacks on Senator Sanders' record. And because he did support the auto bailout, what he didn't support was a Wall Street bailout because he does not, clearly we're not advocating on the side of corporations and billionaires here. And I think that fell flat, and the people of Michigan, they made their voices heard at the polls because they know Senator Sanders is someone that supports them, that supports good-paying jobs. I think we also ran a really good ground game. We had 12 offices in the state, all across the state, and we went out and we met with people. When Senator Sanders was not in the state, our folks were on the ground. They were in these communities. They were having the conversations. They were holding town halls, and those are the things that makes the difference. And so we're going to continue that. We're doing that right now in Illinois. We're doing that in Ohio, places like North Carolina as well, and we're looking to do well in these states going forward.
All right, we're talking to the press secretary for Bernie Sanders. Symone, there was a big difference in percentage of African Americans that voted for Bernie Sanders in Mississippi versus Michigan. In Mississippi, you didn't seem to gain any ground with African American voters, but you did a little bit in Michigan. Can you figure out or have you guys already figured out what the difference was and how you can change the dynamic of African American votes going so heavily for Hillary Clinton, especially in the South?
Well, you know what? I think we invested substantial resources in Michigan, and we won 31% of the African American vote in Michigan. But I mean, if you look to Nebraska and Kansas, actually, we won 9 out of 10 African American precincts in Kansas. We won 60% of the African American vote in Kansas. We won 40% of the African American vote in Nebraska. So we think our message is a message that resonates. We just have to get out here in these communities and make sure that we're actively talking to African American voters and really connecting them with them in real ways. We've had more time. Voters have gotten to know Senator Sanders and his message just a little bit more. I've said before, had we probably had more time in South Carolina, things might have gone differently. And so now we're committed to, again, continuing to invest resources and really connecting with African American voters and voters of color, Latino voters as well, Native American voters. Asian American voters, so on and otherwise, because we believe that our message is a message that speaks to a broad and multicultural, multiracial coalition, and we're looking to build that coalition.
Well, how are you planning to do that outreach? It seems to me that, and this is me playing Monday morning quarterback, although you guys had a stunning victory yesterday, still I was criticizing. And I thought why not have Harry Belafonte, Benjamin Jealous, T.I., Spike Lee? I don't know if they do it, and maybe that's the answer as to why not. All in a commercial, and you guys have now a ton of money because of all the people sending the 27 bucks at a time,
Well,
and
you
run
don't know
that
what we have
ad.
up our sleeve. Y'all don't know what we have up our sleeve coming back. I will say that we are actively invested in deploying our surrogates and making sure that they're on the ground and we're using them in very dynamic ways. So you don't know what you'll see coming up next from the Bernie Sanders camp where that's concerned. But Ben Jealous, for instance, he was in Chicago for us today, hosting a lot of different things. He did a lot of different media. I think you'll see a few more of our folks a lot soon. But we are again invested in reaching these voters. But it's not just the celebrities. So I do think that we're very grateful for the endorsements of folks like Harry Belafonte, Spike Lee, Ben Jealous, Senator Nina Turner, Killer Mike, so on and so forth. But it's also these local folks, these people on the ground. We saw in Michigan in days leading up to the contest, people came out and threw their support behind Senator Sanders. We had Senator Burt Johnson, a Michigan state senator who's very well respected in the legislature and in the community. He represents the Detroit area. We had faith leaders and pastors come out in support of Senator Sanders, and I think it makes a difference. These endorsements from celebrities and whatnot are amazing. They're great, and we need those. But we also need the endorsement of those people right there on the ground. So those are things that we're also committed to doing, and I think you're going to see us roll out some of those things in Ohio, and Illinois, and North Carolina, and in other nominating states and other states going forward. Because again, we're committed to connecting with folks. And we're seeing the support come out, and we want to make sure the media sees it too.
Symone, one last question for you. There's a lot of negative articles written about the Bernie Sanders campaign. We did the story about 16 negative headlines in Washington Post in 16 hours. There's the Bernie Bro nonsense. There's all the titles the Daily Beast and so many others write about, oh, well, he's having trouble connecting to black voters, as if he has an issue with African Americans when his record is the opposite. So my question is, how do you fight back against that in the press? Because, a lot of the right wing will fight back against the press and say the media is biased. Hillary Clinton isn't afraid to go after them from time to time. It seems like they're actually the most biased against you guys. Is there something you're doing behind the scenes to fight back against that? Because, it seems tilted.
Well, you know what? Senator Sanders hasn't been shy about stating that when you take on the establishment, sometimes that includes your corporate-backed media establishment. That is your establishment media. So we haven't been shy about, talking about the issues, and sometimes, that ruffles the feathers of some of our media friends out there, but we are not letting the media define what we are doing and how we are reaching out to voters and so on and so forth. So while we're very proud of the media coverage that we have gotten, the very favorable coverage in lots of places, well, we're not going to let the headlines, as the senator would say, or the newspapers tell us what's important, or we're not, as voters, I don't think they should let the headlines or the newspapers tell them what's important either. I think it's very important that we keep this campaign about the issues. This election is about the issues. It is entirely too important. When we live in the richest country in the history of the world, but so many people are still living in poverty, and the rich just keep getting richer. That is the issue that we need to talk about. When we live in a country that is wrestling with the issue of mass incarceration of African Americans, so that's something we need to discuss and address. When we're living in a country that has literally devastated its working class due to these disastrous trade policies, such as NAFTA, such as CAFTA, such as permanent normal trade relations with China, and the impending Trans-Pacific Partnership, those are things we need to talk about. And Senator Sanders is committed to not only having those conversations, but providing real solutions and working with the people to get policies in place that really benefit hardworking Americans. So I'm not concerned about what the Washington Post is saying about Bernie Sanders this week. They're still talking, so I'm happy.
All right, Symone Sanders, press secretary for Senator Bernie Sanders. Thank you so much for joining us on the Young Turks.
Thank you.